Hey there, Erin from Morehouse Farm here, and today's knitting tip is how to sew up the easy pillow. Now this is a great project because there's really no darning. Even though you have ends, all you need to do is tuck them inside along with the stuffing, and nobody's ever gonna see them, so there's no need to be particular about how that looks. Now in order to sew this up, I'm going to use a different color yarn just so it's easy to see in the video. And I usually figure about twice the length of the project plus a little bit extra for whatever knots I need to tie. And that's a good amount just to be able to have enough yarn and not run out. Now I've lined up these two edges that I'm going to sew. The other one was taken care of by our 3-needle bind off. And there's many different versions we can use to sew this up, but I wanted to find something that looks sort of similar to the 3-needle bind off, just so that both ends of my pillow were close. So what I'm going to do is turn this end up, and I'm going to go ahead and sew this in a running stitch that's just under the edge where I cast on. And the first thing I'm going to do, you'll notice, is make sure that it's exactly lined up along the way where my row began and ended. All right. The next thing is I'm going to put the needle inside here so that my tail sticks out a little bit, and I'm going to go right under this edge of the yarn, which is the cast on, and I'd like to grab it where they cross. This is the cast on stitch. You can see there's a loop that goes behind the stitch here. Granted, we're looking at it upside down from the cast on, but if I go underneath here, I've got both of these halves of the stitch hanging on. If I only go under one, it's going to tend to pull, and that's going to make it uneven. So aim for both of these, and once I do that, now I can tie this in a knot to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. It's a pillow. If you're gonna have pillow fights, maybe you wanna tie it extra tight, but I don't think it's gonna need all that much. But now that's stuck in my pillow and nobody's gonna be the wiser. You can still see my stitch here though, because I'm using the different color, but that's for demonstration purposes. And on the back side, I wanna go out again in the middle of that stitch, just so that it's a smooth pass through. Now I'm gonna come back on this back side through and just underneath where my cast on was, and then back through to this side here, over to the next set, and back through again. I'm going to try and catch under this one and under this one, so right through the middle here. Sorry, that's so awkward with this splint. I can't move this quite as easily as I would normally. Okay, and then turn this back. So it's just a simple running stitch. If you've taken any sewing classes or remember back in even to the days of school when you might have used this for a project, you're just putting these two together in and out because you just want to hold the stuffing in, really. That's all you want to do. And if I didn't say before, make sure you stuff it before you start to sew it together. I have not because this is demonstration, but make sure your pillow form or your stuffing is in the middle there. And see how it's every other stitch? You can see one of the green ones. As far as the knitting stitches go, you'll see one of the green sewing stitches every other. And that's just enough to keep this together, which is really all you need. This is not going to be tried horribly, I don't think. It should just be a comfy place to lounge, especially on a lazy summer day like today. Okay. And going on back through, coming down to the end here. And you can see this little bit of unevenness is only because that's where my row began. And if I didn't do that little trick to even them out, not a big deal. This is where I can take care of it. Oops, and I do want to make sure I come under this cast on stitch. That always helps. And the reason that I picked this stitch is, see how these together tend to mimic the 3-needle bind off? That's why I like this stitch quite a bit for this particular application. And you're going to be using the same color yarn that you were knitting the pillow in, so you won't even be able to see any of this. It'll just produce the end result. And then when you're done, poke your needle back inside. You can tie a knot somewhere along the way if you like. I can see a little bit right here of my green thread. So I could tie my knot there just by looping the yarn underneath itself and then back through. And then all I want to do is poke my needle in to my work and have it come out somewhere randomly. And then pull it nice and snug, take the scissors, cut it, and then pull back. And now my end has disappeared inside. And there you go, the easy pillow bind off on the other side, accomplished by a running stitch. Happy knitting from Morehouse Farm.